Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do my Manga Love Readathon 2021 wrap-up. This is a readathon that Shay Geeks Out hosts. She's done it quite a few times now. This one took place from February 12th through 14th, so shorter than a lot of her other ones, but I prefer shorter readathons, honestly, because I was busy on the Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, I made sure everything that I had to do was done prior to the weekend so that I spent the 2 days just reading. I think I read 42 volumes of manga over the course of Saturday and Sunday, and I'm going to just talk about briefly the digital stuff I read first so that I can get into the physical stuff. I read the entire series of Hell's Paradise, Jigokuraku, on Shonen Jump's website because I have the subscription to the app. So I read Jigokuraku, which was excellent. I started reading it and then just got hooked, and then I read as much as I was able to because there's a 100 chapter limit per day. And so I read 100 chapters and then had to wait till the next day to read the final 27 chapters. But it was excellent. If you don't know, it is a ninja sort of series about these convicts who are sent to this island to find the elixir of immortality, basically. And this island has very strange, dangerous consequences for visiting it. Nobody's ever come back alive. And so they send all of these people who are on death row, most of which are like ninjas and various very powerful people. They're on death row and they're sent with like a samurai companion, basically, to either execute them or make sure that they get back safely. And their motivation for doing it is if they come back with the elixir of life, they will be pardoned from all of their crimes. And so our main character is this, he's Gabimaru the Hollow, I believe, and he is just a killing machine, but he's been married recently and he just loves his wife and he wants to be pardoned so he can go back and live with his wife and be, live happily and normally. And so he desperately wants to be the winner of, this quest. And it's super violent, it's super ridiculous, but it has so much heart and the art is phenomenal. And really beautiful, even despite all the violence and gore. I really enjoyed it. It does have a physical release coming out now. I don't know that I will pick it up right away, but in the future I may buy it physically. But I'm glad that I read it. The other digital... Oh, I read also on Shonen Jump's website, I read volume 1 of Golden Kamui. I started that after I finished Hell's Paradise because I just figured that would be my next read through Shonen Jump. So I did read volume 1 of Golden Kamui, which gets spoken about quite a bit, so I don't really think I need to go over about too much what that is about, but they're basically trying to put together a human treasure map to find this gold. But yeah, it was pretty good. I'll continue reading it, just not during the readathon. And then the only other digital one I read is one that I actually own digitally. It's a Kodansha title, and it's why is the name escaping me? It's a zombie one. I'll tell you what it's about, and then the name will pop in my head. Basically, it is a zombie title. I read volume 4, 5, 6, and 7 of it, and it's wow, I can't remember. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. It's a bunch of kids, juvenile delinquents in a prison, and when the zombie outbreak happens, they are kind of protected because they're in this locked down facility. Of course, that doesn't last very long, but it's basically all of these delinquents who are trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, and all hell breaks loose. And of course, since they're delinquents and they're in there for pretty violent and scary crimes, they're all kind of making their own little society there. But it's Yeah, it's very weird. It's got a very different twist to zombie stuff. It's gotten religious and weird. I only read up to volume 7 because it's all I have. I believe it's 10 volumes long. Um, but yeah, why can't I remember what it's called? You know what? I am sorry. I will just put the name of the manga in the description because I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called. Um, it's Fort of Apocalypse. Fort of Apocalypse is what it's called. Okay, we're good. So next up, all of the physical reads. I did actually start out the readathon with the first 2 volumes of His Favorite. This is by Suzuki Tanaka. This is all I have. I got these from a friend last year, and I hadn't read them yet, so I decided to read these first 2 volumes. I know that this one has like 10 volumes out or something, and it may actually be ongoing still. I don't really know. I didn't look into it much, but it's basically about this dorky dude who's our main character and the super duper popular guy, of course, in school, and he's kind of obsessed with the dorky guy, and he's not really being subtle about it, but it's very much like girls constantly bullying this dude because the guy that they all like is paying too much attention. And the title is just about the fact that the dorky dude is his favorite person. It was quite cute. It was funny. The art is, cute and very distinct. I didn't realize actually until I read the author's note in the back that this one is also the same author that did Menkui, which is a 3-volume series that was put out by Tokyopop's Blue imprint way back in the day, and that was actually the very first BL manga I ever purchased because I bought it used at Value Village. I have it still. I don't have the first volume, I just have 2 and 3, but I have read it. I read the 2 volumes I have. It was very easy to infer what happened in volume 1. It wasn't good, but now I'm kind of wanting to reread it because it's the same author as this, and I haven't read it in honestly over 10 years. But I was just like, oh, I see it. The art is very similar to Menkui. Yeah, so that I just found that funny. Next up, I read the final 3 volumes, so 3 through 5 of the omnibuses of Children of the Sea. This is a very beautiful, stunning manga about these kids who were born in the sea, and it's about this girl, Ruka, who is around their age. Look at that. And she's somehow intertwined with these boys, but from the sea, but nobody really knows how. It's a lot about marine biology and these scientists kind of studying these kids and trying to figure out who they are, where they came from, what their existence means. So it gets a little human experimentation-y, but it's not super graphic or anything. Also, the issue is that there are tons of fish and marine life that are disappearing. They're literally light shines, and then the fish are disappearing out of the ocean, out of aquariums. So nobody knows really what's going on, but the art is just stunning, mind-blowing. And the whole time, it's got a very kind of melancholic sort of feel. And, but yeah, it's kind of a mystery sort of really beautiful story. And this volume, the final volume 5 in particular, is mostly pictures. There's barely any text for a good chunk of the middle of it. There's some text at the beginning and some text at the end, but most of this final volume is literally just giant, sprawling pictures. And when I say most of it, I mean legitimately most of this volume. So that was an excellent read. I'm super glad I bought that because it's been one that I read the first volume years ago from my library and then just never finished. So that was excellent. Next up, I read finally volume 10 of Welcome to the Ballroom by Tomo Takeuchi. This, I pre-ordered it. I had it as soon as it came out. I just didn't read it. We're in the middle of a competition, and obviously this volume took well over a year between volume 9 and this one to get out in print. So I just wasn't motivated to read it until I saw Shay mention that she was going to be trying to read the first couple volumes or something for during the readathon, and I was like, I forgot I haven't read volume 10. This was really good. It goes in a lot of the backstory of one of the competitors. Oh, that is a beautiful, beautiful spread there. But yeah, excellent art as always. A lot of heart. But yeah, this one didn't really follow our main character as much. It followed mostly this competitor and what was going through his mind during the competition. Next up, I continued reading Beauty Pop. So I was on volume 3. This is a older shoujo. It's pretty much out of print, or it is out of print. I think you can still find the volumes decently easily, but I bought this series recently, and it's basically about these boys who all want to be beauticians. Their parents own various companies, so one does nails, one does hair, one does this is the aromatherapy dude, one does makeup, and they run this thing called the Scissors Project at their school where they make over girls, and our main girl is really good at doing hair, and so she's not super interested in it, it seems. But yeah, Beauty Pop, I started with going up to volume 7. But anyway, it's a cute kind of makeover high school manga with adorable, just trying to find some adorable art. Yeah, it's very shoujo. It's very early. Is it early 2000s or mid 2000s? 2007. So yeah. Next up, I read volume 1 of In the Walnut. This is an old Junei BL title by Toko Kawai. This was excellent. This is another one that my friend gave me last year, and I don't have the final volume, unfortunately. I believe it's three volumes long, but this is a excellent title. It is sort of BL, like they're together, and it's like they are together, the two guys, but it's more of it's got a story and a plot, and it's basically about this guy who inherited his father's art gallery. It's like a little gallery. He restores paintings, he sells paintings, he buys paintings, and he basically, it's him and his boyfriend who's a photographer and videographer, and it's kind of like a mystery almost, because each chapter is a different story about, a customer will come in with a painting or a request of him, and he's kind of trying to figure out, is this painting a legitimate painting? Is it a recreation? What's the story behind it? Do I want to actually purchase this, or am I getting scammed? But it's got a lot of, the art's, decent, and it was really fascinating. Clearly this mangaka loves art, and you can tell because a lot of like legitimate terms and research and stuff seems to have been put into this, and then at the back the author or the mangaka goes over any of the paintings or anything that are mentioned or artists that are mentioned, and why they chose to kind of feature them. So this was excellent. I was thoroughly surprised because a lot of these older Junei titles, let's be honest, are not great. They're fun for the sake of, reading them, but I was blown away. This was a very fascinating title. Next up, I read Little Miss P, The Second Today. This is Ken Koyama. This is just the follow-up to the first Little Miss P, which is a personified period. This one felt more educational because it had some of the stories, like one of them was about these women talking to a health class about periods, like junior high students or elementary school students or something. It had, like, it actually referenced, like, this is referencing the Ministry of Health on some kind of statistic. And then it had, I'm trying to find some more, but there were actual little side notes and stuff when it mentioned, oh, there we go. It says, like, Little Miss P says, and then it talks about ovaries and, you know, having them checked regularly for issues. But yeah, it was a little bit more educational, which is fine, but it also was a little more ridiculous because this one had a zombie story, it had an alien story, it had yeah, it was just, it's fun. The first volume I enjoyed more, but this one's also fun. I don't know if there's any more of them, but if there are, I probably won't pick them up. I think I've had my fill of Little Miss P, but still, you know, a fun title that I'm glad got translated to English for sure. Next up, I finished Beauty Pop, so I read volumes 8, 9, there's our main character, by the way, and 10. Yeah, so I finished this one off. There will be a full series review of Beauty Pop on my channel at some point soon, so do not worry about that. I have a lot of thoughts, and I will do a full video about what I liked, what I didn't like, about Beauty Pop. But again, fun makeover shoujo series that I've wanted for years, so I'm glad I found it recently. Then the only reread I did for this readathon is She and Her Cat, and this is the Makoto Shinkai story, an art by Tsubasa Yamaguchi. This I read usually a couple times a year. It's a single volume about this cat and the woman that he lives with, and he just basically kind of talks about his owner, and he doesn't really understand what she's going through, but he can tell that she's kind of depressed or sad or melancholic about something. And it's a very slow-paced, sort of relaxing read, just about this woman at this particular time in her life where she's just feeling down on her luck and not really feeling good about herself, but through the eyes of her cat that really truly loves her, and it's so beautiful. And I read it very often, and I was just in the mood for it, so I read that. And then I was in a kind of melancholic mood from that, and decided to read volumes 3 and 4 of Honey and Clover by Chika Umino. This is a arts college / workplace, because some of them are a bit older, shoujo series, again older shoujo series, that follows a bunch of these characters and their kind of just first love, unrequited love triangles. It's very melancholic. Like, it's so, I'm reading it and I'm not crying, but the whole time I feel like I need to be crying. And it's not that it's supposed to be sad. I think it's just, it's about the time in these people's lives. They're about my age, early mid-20s, you know, trying to follow their passion for art. And some of them are sculptors, some of them are painters, some of them are, one of them is working in an architecture firm. But it's a comedy, like there's funny parts and stuff, but it's very much a coming of age sort of story about these young adults who are trying to find their place in the world and trying to figure out what love is and what it means. And there's no like relationships at this point because everybody's in love with someone who doesn't love them back right now. So it's very, like, it's got a sad undertone, but it's also very much a tone of like, you're young and this stuff happens and you will get over it and you will move on past this. And it's very that, which always chokes me up. And yeah, it's a great series, but I read it very slowly because it's very, like I said, it makes me feel like I should be crying the whole time. And I also don't have all of it. I'm missing one volume. I think I'm missing volume 8. So I don't want to read all of it and then have to wait to try and track down volume 8. So, yeah. Then I read the second volume of In the Walnut. Again, excellent volume. And like I said, I think it's a 3-volume series, so I don't have the final volume. But I mean, it's not like it left off because it's episodic. Each story is different. Like, it's not the end of the world that I don't have more of it. But yeah, another excellent volume. Super happy about this one. And then I was in the mood for a ridiculous older yaoi series. So this is another one from my friend that I hadn't read yet, and it's Hey Class President by Kaoru Monchi. This was ridiculous, but also very pleasant. This one was an explicit title. It wasn't just a story. But I loved the art. It's like wispy, really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and it was cute. And this is our class president, and this boy is a vice president, and they're both part of the judo club as well, which I thought was interesting. And it's basically this guy constantly is getting sexually harassed and assaulted by people, because I don't know why, but this guy seems very protective of him and decides to like take on the role of his protector, but then of course also falls in love with him and is attracted to him. It's really cute despite all of the assault, which is legitimately handled as this is assault. So it's not just like, and it's not explicit either. Like, it's very like, this happened, it was bad. So at least there's that. Yeah, it was really cute. I actually really liked it. But it's by 801, which I don't think I have anything else by this publisher. And it's older. I don't even know if more of it was published in English, but I don't have any more if it was. And then I read volumes 3 through 5, so the rest of Marionette Generation. This is a very old Viz title that follows this mangaka. He's probably in his 20s. He has a younger, soon-to-be stepsister who's in middle school, who's in love with him, and this doll that they call Lunch, who shows up at his house one day, and so he's just trying to get his manga done while he has this doll that is talking and living, as well as, there she is, there's Lunch and the middle schooler. So it's a bit of a taboo-ish sort of romance, but not really. It's from the 90s. It is very 90s male humor. There's Lunch again. But I love the art. I think that it's super cool. I think that it's a very self-aware story. Like, the mangaka knows that this story went nowhere, was going nowhere the whole time. And he's like, yeah, no, I admit that I don't know what I was doing with this. And I thought that at least the self-awareness was nice, because the whole time you're reading it going, not sure what's happening. Not sure what the point of that was. And at the end of the volume, the mangaka would be like, I'm not sure what was happening or what the point of all this is, but I hope you enjoy it. So, I mean, that was funny enough. And the art is just interesting and cool. So, again, this is one that I got from my friend. So I will do a full series review of that one as well to talk about what I liked, what I disliked, and, overall thoughts on the series. And then the final thing I read last night was Volume 3 of Haven't You Heard, I'm Sakamoto, and this is by Nami Sano. This is a ridiculous humor manga about Sakamoto, who is perfect at everything, and then people hate him, but then they end up loving him because they just realize, oh my god, he's just perfect, and he's funny and ridiculous. And it's just, and this volume has when the boys in his class try to get him to go into the 18 plus porn section of the video rental store to rent porn videos for them. And it is so funny. Here it is. It's a scene of that. I don't have volumes 2 or 4 because they're out of print, but I have read the whole series from my library. And I own volumes 1 and 3, but thankfully with this one, it is very episodic, and it's a comedy. So you really don't have to read the whole thing. Preferably you would, because it's hilarious. But if you see any volumes, you can just pick them up and read them, and you're not going to be losing out on story or plot. So even though I only have 2 volumes of it, and they're not in a row, I can still enjoy these, and eventually, hopefully one day, I'll find the rest of the series, because the other 2 are out of print. But that's what I read. Thank you to Shay, as always, for hosting these readathons. They're very fun. I got a lot read, and only reread 1 volume, which was excellent. So I got a lot of my TBR down from this readathon. So thank you again. If you participated, let me know. I'd love to hear what you read, or if you've read any of the titles I spoke about, especially Hell's Paradise, Jigokuraku. If you've read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, because that was one I really, really enjoyed. Obviously, I read the whole thing. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching.